Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at some alternative games. Also from Games Workshop, but if you just absolutely cannot wait for Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, here's some alternatives. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Get your start in the world of Warhammer with 3 fantastic games. When you think of Warhammer, you usually think of epic conflicts between entire armies, where mighty heroes battle huge monsters and war machines bristling with heavy armaments. Perhaps you think of skirmish games between small bands of fighters, hoping against hope for a desperate victory. Or maybe even think of 2 teams of armor-clad brutes trying to kill someone, or something, on their way to the touchdown line. Many people love the idea of these fantastic games set in the worlds of Warhammer, but don't know where to start. Perhaps they're daunted by the prospect of lengthy playtimes or complex rules. Or maybe they're intimidated at having to build and paint lots of models. In this case, look no further than the following titles, which have been designed to be easy to pick up and play. Alright, so first we have Blitz Bowl, the Ultimate Edition. Smaller in scale, but no less bloody, the 6-a-side version of Blood Bowl brings you more gory, gladiatorial action on the gridiron. With streamlined rules that are simple to learn, but rewarding to master, you can get into the game at a breakneck pace. Quite literally for some players. This season, 2 teams are ready to tussle in tumultuous tryout. 6 human players from the Reavers, while 6 Skaven make up the Scramblers. You'll also get a pitch, cards, dice, and everything else you need to play an action-packed strategic sports game for 2 in less than an hour. So if you're not familiar with Blood Bowl, it is basically just the larger version of this game. So this is sort of like your entry-level game into Blood Bowl. Rather than having your larger teams, you're going to have 6 per side, and you're going to use the basic rules from the game. So it's going to familiarize you with Blood Bowl. You're also going to have everything you need to play fully contained within this set. And depending on where you find these sets at, they're available at various bookstores, some places in the mall. You can find them sometimes at Games Workshop stores or hobby modeling stores as well. And typically you can get these box games for somewhere around like $30 to $60. Now most of them retail at about $60, but very, very often I have seen them 50% or even more discounted and available at places like bookstores or in the mall, etc. It's really cool too because it gets you your first few miniatures. They are like easy to build stuff, or ETB, which means that you don't actually even need super glue. They're like push fit models and they fully clip together. Alternatively, you can use super glue as well. You can clean them up. They're still fully detailed models. They're still awesome. They have a couple of options, but they just familiarize you with the overall quality and look of Games Workshop's models. So I think this is a great set if you're interested in playing a sort of like sports themed game that is still similar to Warhammer. You're still going to be trying to hurt other players, knock them out of the game, but the overall arching theme and goal is still to win a football game. And by football, I mean American football. And if you want to find out for yourself and give it a try, I think the new Blood Bowl entry game, Blitz Bowl, is a great place to start. And they do have various different teams available once you're ready to expand if you want to try out some of the other races in the Warhammer universe. So very, very cool. Definitely for those sports players out there, if you kind of want to play Warhammer and you kind of want to play football, you can just put them both together and play both. Very cool. All right, and next we have Warhammer Quest Lost Relics. So if you're not familiar with the Warhammer Quest games, they are very, very cool. They do take place in both of the Warhammer universes, Warhammer 40,000 and also like the Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar universe. So in this case, this one is in the Sigmar universe. So let's take a look. Lost Relics sees a band of heroic Stormcast Eternals awaken within a mysterious labyrinth, filled with arcane treasures, devious traps, and vicious monsters. Will these 4 heroes and their faithful pet bird be able to break free, or are they doomed to fall in the hands of the mysterious Magister? Work together with up to 3 other players to escape your prison in Warhammer Quest. Lost Relics, a cooperative dungeon crawler with initiative rules, endless playability, and games lasting a little over half an hour. You can even play solo and test your wits against the all-powerful entity that rules the maze. So this is really cool for fans out there of games like Dungeons and Dragons or like dungeon crawlers, etc. If you were into Hero Quest and stuff like that, this might be a good place for you to start. It's very similar to the overall dynamics and gameplay of Warhammer Quest. You essentially roll dice at the beginning of your turn, and those give you basically your action abilities. And then you have on your data card some cool things that you can do with your hero, various attacks, movements, all that cool stuff, special abilities. And you're able to activate those abilities with your dice rolls. So if you roll very poorly, you'll have minimum abilities. If you roll very good, you can go full Nova that turn. So this is pretty cool because you can actually play solo, or you can play with up to 4 people total. Each of you can control a hero, or you could control multiple heroes if you have less people. The enemies in the game are not actually models. They're sort of like events or like interactions. So you're not going to actually have like the bad guys or the monsters physically on the board to fight with. But the AI and like the enemy is all randomized through like a various set of actions. And it's pretty cool how it works. And it actually plays really nicely. So these games are relatively quick. There's only really 4 models and then a little bird for you to paint up. It has cool, fully colorful dungeon tiles, all of your tokens, all of your dice, your cards to play with. Everything is included in the set. It's a very cool little dungeon adventure, kind of like treasure hunt. And then obviously the story unfolds as you kind of progress through. So really cool game right here. I really like the idea of this. It's a great starter game. And then obviously you can move up after that to something like Cursed City, which is like the full-on version of this game with tons of awesome models, monsters, everything. Again, you have the push fit models in this set. And if you like the setting and you thought it was fun and the game was fun, but you want to try it in the 40K universe, you can try out Blackstone Fortress, which is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Actually, it's not even probably. It is definitely one of my favorite games of all time. It's extremely fun to play. Again, the AI that controls the monsters does an extremely good job of doing it. I've played a lot of games before where it's super basic and not well thought out, and the AI just doesn't feel good. In Warhammer Quest, the AI is amazing. They have really mastered like what the various monsters are going to do and make it feel fully interactable. And it's like another player is choosing to make those actions for the AI rather than just kind of generic movements or attacks. So definitely a cool game right here. Again, can be picked up relatively inexpensive as well. Great starter to get your hands on a few models, get into the actual gameplay and start to understand the basic dynamics. Comes with a ton of really cool game aids as well. All your various cards, your items, your tokens, all that stuff. So very, very cool and definitely a nice way to start playing Warhammer Quest. All right, and then next we have Combat Arena, the Clash of Champions. So this is a little bit different. In this, you're actually going to be controlling one of these heroes set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. And you guys will all be in an arena doing combat against each other. Combat Arena pits 4 mighty warriors of the 41st millennia against each other in brutal combat. Trapped in an inescapable vault by the mad Necron overlord, Trazon the Infinite, 2 to 4 players must duke it out to earn their chance at freedom. This sequel to Combat Arena brings back fast-paced, replayable combat with accessible rules, tactical depths, and beautiful miniatures, each with their own unique actions and attacks. Will you emerge victorious? Alright, so this is pretty cool because it has a couple of different models from a couple of different factions in Warhammer 40,000. So you have a Blood Angels Terminator, who is very heavily equipped for close combat. You have a Death Guard Champion, who is given in to the Dark Gods, and his body has been infected and bloated beyond recognition. And then we have a Necron, a living sort of mechanical skeleton monster, something like a Terminator. And then finally we have a Space Marine Lieutenant as well, who represents the heart of the Imperium. So 4 super cool characters in this set, each of which would normally individually cost somewhere in between like 25 and 40 bucks. So basically buying one of these characters sort of pays for the whole game. You get 4 finely detailed miniatures. Again, they are simple to build. You get your actual card to represent each, and then all of the different various actions and attacks and everything that can happen throughout the game. It includes your dice, your board, everything else you need to play. It's very quick to set up, and there's almost no teardown as well. It's really cool because if you have a couple of players duking it out, you can play 1-on-1 or you can play 2-on-2, and then you can switch to different ones so you can try out all the various guys. It's only 4 models, so it's super quick to paint up and play as well. But it gives you at least a start to working with some of the Games Workshop minis and see just how awesome they are and how detailed they are. So very cool setup right here. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about close combat, the rules are different in this game than they're going to be in any of other Games Workshop games. But they are still cool. The dynamics still kind of fit in. And again, it just kind of helps you get used to the structure of how Games Workshop games are played and designed. So very, very cool. Definitely recommend this one. I have not played this one specifically yet, but the old combat arena was very, very cool. Same type of thing. Some super cool detailed minis, small box that you can tuck away and then bust out whenever you're trying to get someone new into the game. Or if you're the new one getting into the game, it's not so daunting that you have hundreds of miniatures to build and paint. You just start off with the 4 guys. When you're finished with them, you can move on to whichever you like best and start your faction for Warhammer 40,000. With something like a combat patrol or one of the other options as well. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video. So very, very cool. Some super awesome games to get people started into the hobby. Maybe you pick one of these up, you play them with your friends or your kids. Maybe you buy this as a gift for someone else. Maybe even paint it up, build it, and get it all ready to go for them before you send it their way. But very, very cool options, super cheap, and good ways to get started into the game. If you're not sure exactly what route you want to go, you can sort of get like a little taste from one of these box sets and then see if the game is for you. So just to recap, we have our Combat Arena Clash of Champions, and this is sort of a duel type game, and this takes place in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. We also have Warhammer Quest Lost Relics, which is a sort of dungeon delver. We go after some treasure and try to escape with your lives. And this one does take place in the Warhammer Fantasy universe or Age of Sigmar. And then last but not least, we have the Blitz Bowl Unlimited Edition. So this is the entry-level game for Blood Bowl and gives you the ability to kind of do some of the combat stuff, rough up your enemies, potentially cause permanent harm, all while trying to win an American football game. Very, very cool. So that's it for today. Just wanted to take a look at some of the entry-level games. They're cheap, they're easy, quick to build, quick to play, and super fun. There's very little time spent learning the rules and setting up and breaking down the games, most of which you get to actually hobby or play. So it's all the fun stuff at a nice price. Definitely can recommend these 3 various games. So let me know what you think down below. Have you played any of these games in the past? Are any of them in particular appealing to you? They look fun, they look cool. You can't really see the miniatures that well, but the miniatures in these sets are really nice, really good quality, and they're all pushed to fit, so they go together very simply. So I always like to hear back your guys' opinions, but I think games like this are just a great way for people to get into the game, great starting point. And in this weird kind of dynamic we're in right now, when we're waiting on 10th edition to arrive, you don't want to buy a lot of 9th edition stuff, like a starter set or anything like that. So maybe one of these other smaller off-skirt kind of side games can hold you over until it's time. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm kind of in the mood for a quick little game. And I'm out of here.